Welcome everybody to this presentation of Switch to Sweden. My name is Ella Galvis and I work as a project manager in Linköping Science Park. Switch to Sweden is a project that is financed by Vinnova, the Swedish innovation agency. However, it's managed here in Linköping, where I am talking to you guys today. However, the scope of the project is national. Therefore, we work with international students all over the country and also with companies, recruiting companies, mostly within tech. First of all, I would like to go through some details about the project. The goal of the project is to increase the number of qualified matches between international talents who are already in Sweden, mainly master students and PhD students, and recruiting Swedish companies. We truly believe that by utilizing international talent, we can create the conditions to ensure Swedish competitiveness into the future. That's why we want to retain all international masters and PhD students who are already in Sweden and connect them with the industry. But how do we do this? First of all, we wanted to understand the experience of masters and PhD students who arrived in Sweden. We have conducted several interviews and surveys to understand better their process and how can we support them as a project. Therefore, we have done some specific activities. We publish a welcome guide with all the key information that all international students should have in order to explore a life and a job in Sweden. We also conduct this kind of workshops where we give key information, tips, and tricks on how to get into the Swedish labor market and what you should consider before working. Also, we have a knowledge bank in our website, switchtosweden.se, where you can find information regarding how to learn Swedish, how to understand the Swedish working culture, what to think about migration administration, and also why integration in society is absolutely key in order to create a life in Sweden. On the other hand, we also work with companies. We support companies by guiding them in the attraction and recruitment process of international talents. Therefore, we created an awareness campaign. We just launched a guide to recruiting international talents in Sweden. But we also have an HR network where we invite all HR managers from different companies in Sweden who would like to understand, learn, and support each other in this process. We did a specific program called Tap the Talent, where you can find now as a blog post series with the key information that all companies should think about when it comes to working with international talents. And also, we have a specific knowledge bank for them. However, our main activity is an AI matchmaking tool, which I'm going to present soon. This tool is provided by a company called Creative, which is based in Norrköping, close to Linköping, where I live currently. The matchmaking tool is based on a registration form with key questions. First of all, we invite all companies who would like to meet international talents to fill in this registration form, and there they can post what kind of role are they looking for. The tool takes this text and organizes the information, and skills that are need to have are also skills that are nice to have. On the other hand, we also invite all international talents to fill in the same registration form. And here you're going to see the type of skills that the companies are looking for. When all forms are filled in, we run the matchmaking tool, and this is going to end in a percentage of a result of the likelihood of a good match. So everything that is beyond 60% of like positive match, then we help introduce the company and the student to have a meet and greet session of 20 minutes. However, the decision to do this is from the company side, and then the student needs to accept this meeting. It's very important to understand that everybody who is an international student or PhD student is welcome to participate in our matchmaking tool. However, this should not be considered a recruitment activity. So far, we have over 2,000 talents registered in the tool at the moment. We have more than 300 companies and more than 300 successful matches. Every time that we see that there is a successful match, or when we find out that there was a success story of an international talent who got a job in Sweden and was able to establish themselves in the country, we interview them and also the recruiting company. And these interviews are turned into success stories. So I really encourage you to take a look at our success stories in switchtosweden.se, where you can find more information about the perspective both of talents and companies when it comes to recruiting and working together. This is a story that I like to share. Is from Muitaba Hassan. He actually started his journey with a scholarship to study a master program in Denmark. Then he continued his studies in the University of Lund with a PhD degree. And after that, he participated in our matchmaking activity, specifically done for Marie Curie Fellows, which is our a specific group of PhD and researchers who are in Sweden. And he got matched with a company in Stockholm where he worked 6 months. After 6 months, his contract was over, but then with the experience that he had during these 6 months, he was able to get another job in a pharma company in Stockholm, where he's currently working today. So I think this is a fantastic journey from a student who come from a non-EU country, got a scholarship and continue all his journey between Denmark and Sweden, and was able to get a contract and establish himself in Stockholm. Now I would like to go through these best practices based on successful cases. These successful cases were specific interviews I conducted with different international students who got jobs in Sweden are currently working there. Well, the majority, not all of them, the majority of them are still in the same job. First of all, I would like to start with Loreen. She works as a global data strategy lead in a multinational company here in Sweden. And she says that the key step that got her job is that she volunteered at the university's job fair and started talking to a company representative who put her in contact with an HR manager in Stockholm. After this first contact, she was able to start a recruitment process and successfully started to work in the company. We also have the story of Amanda, who got a job as a marketing manager. She sent more than 700 CVs, asked for feedback in its recruiting process, and learned to profile her LinkedIn account according to the profile that companies were looking for in marketing. So this is another approach that is not so much into direct contact with the companies in networking events or job fairs, but is more like sending CVs online. I would say that in the culture of the Swedish labor market, personal contacts perhaps can be more effective when done correctly. Uh, However, you can also apply online, but you really have to take care of how to profile yourself in a way that is attractive for the local labor market. And it's a try and error process. And in this case, Amanda managed to do it in this way. We also have the story of Ali, who works as a software developer, also in a multinational company, and he says, I developed a project during the summer holidays to which I showed to my teacher, who also works in a multinational company. After seeing my project, he offered me the possibility of applying for an internship. So after he did this project in his summer holidays while he was studying in Sweden, he got the internship, and after the internship, he was offered a full-time job. We also have the story of Adam, who works as a project manager in a startup in Stockholm. And he says, the company I wanted to work for did not know how to do the hiring process for an international person. So I learned how to do the process myself and then guide the company so they could hire me. Adam is an American citizen, and therefore it's harder for companies to recruit people who are outside of EU. However, Adam took the responsibility and the initiative to do this process himself with the company, and he basically created a trusting relationship with them where he took the risk and said, okay, let's try this together, and if it doesn't work, it's totally fine with me, but if it works, I can start working with you. And it was successful, and after he was able to start working in the company, he actually became the go-to person when it comes to recruiting international talents. Also, I would like to highlight this report that we published in 2022 called the Telemat Report. Here we surveyed over 500 international academic talents, and we also surveyed over 100 companies and conducted 25 in-depth interviews with companies regarding the process and experience about working together. If you would like to see all the results, I will invite you to scan the QR code and download the report. You're going to find key information about how this process has been done in Sweden. However, if you would like to know more about concrete results about the report, here I can share them with you. First of all, we identified these three main barriers, which are language and culture, retention and integration, migration and administration. Um, we understand that these are barriers. However, these barriers are not only in Sweden. If you go to different countries in Europe, you're going to find very similar barriers and experiences from both companies and international talents. In Switch to Sweden, we want to turn these barriers into opportunities, and we believe that by facilitating this process, we can definitely increase the chances of international talents and Swedish companies working together. Therefore, we encourage both talents to learn the Swedish language, of course, and the Swedish working culture, but at the same time, we also want to encourage companies to be open to work in English. On the other hand, just getting a job and getting your first assignment in Sweden is not the whole story. That's where you start working here. However, we also see that there is an effort that needs to be made in terms of retention and integration. This means that it's very important for companies to integrate and include all international talents in their teams, but also has to do with how do you integrate in society. We are very clear and encourage all international talents to not only think about work. Uh, it's very important that you do extra activities outside of work that help you feel integrated in society. You could be part of different associations, sports teams, or anything that you like to do in your free time, such as hobbies or learn new skills, or if you have a specific interest, go for it, because that is really going to help you to pick up the language, pick up the culture, and feel more integrated and in the end at home in Sweden. Lastly, we see that migration and administration has been a continuous obstacle for both companies and international talents. However, in here we have seen that the migration office in Sweden has facilitated the process of recruiting talents which are key for the Swedish labor market. Most of these talents are within tech. So some part of it has been facilitated by now. However, we understand that the whole process is not perfect and there are too many steps that needs to be made by both the talent and the company. So we are very clear that if you would like to pursue a job and a life here in Sweden, you need to be aware and consider all the steps that needs to be done and just go through them. So we know that this is a challenge. However, there are internal efforts in the country to make it better. If you would like to know more about the resources that we recommend to check, please go to our website, switchtosweden.se. In here, you can find specific links regarding how to learn the language, which pages you need to look in terms of migration administration, and what organizations can help you in the process of integrating and, in the end, still being here in Sweden by getting into different groups and communities. Also, we welcome you to download our book, The Insider's Guide to Moving and Living in Sweden. Here, you're going to find all the information that you need to understand from day one to literally understand Sweden and the Swedish culture. There's key essential information of history and specific moments of history of the country and the story of Sweden, but also about how to make Swedish friends, how to feel more included in society, and how does this really affect your chances of getting a job and in the end feel happy in Sweden. Lastly, I would like to invite you to develop your action plan. So I know there's a lot of information that you need to take in and you're studying, and there's a lot of things that international students need to learn and adapt fast. So in this next slide, I just want to summarize a little bit everything that you need to think about when it comes to career when your master program is over or your PhD program is over, so you can think about how to frame yourself in a way that is attractive for the labor market. So what I have noticed in students when they're looking for a job, or in general in job seekers, is that they start from their own case, their own perspective. So They want to update their CV, they want to apply for jobs on LinkedIn, and they're very focused on how can I get a job, right? Based on my skills, my experience, and my education, and based on the job offers that are out there in some websites. However, today I would like you to take all the information that you have, that I have shared today, and also part of the experience that you have had in Sweden, and look in a different process. First of all, it's very important to understand the mega and macro trends that we're going through in the world right now. What's going on with the economy, what's going on with the adoption of new technologies, how AI is affecting the way we work and the way business is being done, not only in Sweden, but all over the world. Because these mega trends affect directly the companies, and the companies need to adapt fast. So they are also under pressure to survive the current landscape. Then we need to look more at what's going on at the national level. What kind of industries are the strongest industries in Sweden, and what do they need? What kind of projects are they working for? What is their aim in the end of the day? From a national perspective, I think it's also important for you to understand what's going on at the regional level and a city level. The regions in Sweden have different strengths, so it depends on what you want to do, and on your specific background, that you can understand in which region or which city can provide the best opportunities for you. After this, it's also important to understand which industries are you looking for to work with, and who are the key players, who are the companies, and who are the teams that are driving these industries. In the end of the day, companies are a group of people who work together, and the reason why recruitment is so critical, and also it needs to be done with care, is because the team is everything in a company, and we need to make sure that every person that enters in a team is a person that can work with the team and can perform in the way that it needs to be done for the benefit of the company. So when you understand who is behind the company, what kind of teams are they working with, how do they work, how do they approach, what is their culture, what is their communication language, you can see all of this in their website, in the LinkedIn account, in their social media. All of this gives you kind of a snapshot of who they are. And it also is going to give you a chance to understand if you are a good fit or not. Again, not everybody is designed to work in all companies. We all have different uh, qualities, and certain qualities that we have can be more attractive to certain companies. So we need to be very self-aware of who we are and what do we offer to them. On the other hand, in Sweden, it's very important to work in your network, and your extra activities. You came here to study a master program, which is fantastic. Probably you have great work experience and previous studies from your home country or other countries. But besides that, which is great, it's very important to integrate through different activities outside your studies or outside your work. This is part of the culture in Sweden. Therefore, joining student associations or associations when you find a key interest, it could be in the environment, it could be a sports club, it could be something that you're really passionate about and really driven to work with. That is critical to make the right connections that can lead you to the right organizations and finally get a job. This is a way of getting connected in society in Sweden that it's natural for local people, but I understand that it can be very different for international people. So the activities that you do outside of work or outside your studies in the university are equally as relevant than your studies. So think about that. Lastly, I want you to think about your personal background as your asset. Sweden is it's a country, sorry, that uh, has uh, businesses or has commercial relationships all over the world. Therefore, when you are an international talent, you get information from specific markets, you have relationships in specific countries, maybe you have had experience in different areas in different countries or in other multinational companies. All of this makes you very special and attractive for companies that would like to work internationally as well. So think about your background and introduce your background as an unique value that you bring to the organization. The last part of this is that I would like to invite you to do an inner reflection about what do you dream in the future. I think like when we're getting close to graduate, or where we're going to enter to a new career or a new job, it's very important to understand what do we want, what do we see ourselves in the future, and don't be shy about it, and be ambitious and be very driven, because that drive and that passion is what is going to make the whole difference when it comes to talking with companies and in working every day and having a career. So really strive for what exactly you want. Don't be shy, and don't just go for a job. I think that is also a key advice from me to you. Mm, Many students come here to me and said like, I just need a job, and I said yes, but that is not enough for the companies. We need to understand what you are passionate about, what you really want to work with, and what is your motivation behind it, because the company wants to know that. They just don't want to hire people that need a job. They really want very driven people and passionate people. um, what is your professional goal? Do you want to learn more? Do you want to grow quickly? Do you want a good salary? You need to be very clear about that with yourself first, and then with the companies you meet. And lastly, what actions can you take to make it happen? So take this big picture, this big vision that you have, and break it down in clear steps and go through those steps. And you will learn in the process how to make it better. These are some key factors that you should also consider when looking for a job in general. First of all, you need to have the right skills, right experience, values, and education. But those qualities that you have need to match the company. So you need to be in the right company with the right team. There needs to be a market opportunity, so there is a job opening. And also, it's a matter of time. Is the right job opening at the right time, or were you in the right event, talk to the right person, not apply, so the job position online on time, and so on. So it needs to be like, you need to be very constant and looking around. You cannot miss these opportunities that sometimes pops up, and there's no really clear control of it. And for international talents, it's also important to consider that there is a factor about administration, migration, housing, contracts and conditions, insurances, and so on. So, my advice here is that you should learn exactly what you need to do and what the company needs to do in order to get hired. When you have this information with you, you actually help the company to hire you. Yes, so with all this information, I will just hope you can have some concluding reflections about your own case. And if you would like to, of course, you can reach out to us, to my colleague Anna Brothers, or to me, Hela Galvis. And lastly, check all the information we have for you on switch2sweden.se. If you have comments, questions, reflections that you would like to share with us, you're super welcome to do so. So thank you so much. That's all that I would like to share with you today, and hope to see you next time.